I had a missed call from my own phone number. I hate talking on the phone. All those awkward pauses, not knowing how to end it, and the risk of talking to someone for over an hour, it's terrifying. So I keep my phone perpetually on silent and figure if it's important, they'll leave a text or voicemail. So on Sunday evening, while I was doing my dishes, the phone was silent on the couch. When I picked it up later to check the time, I found that I had a missed call at 7:24 p.m., but what I saw next made my heart start to race. The missed call was from my own number, 352-757-577. Is that even possible? I thought. I did a quick Google search. Some scammers can impersonate your phone number to make you more likely to pick up the phone. The webpage read, "To prevent it, go to..." I closed my laptop, tossed the phone on the bed, and took a shower. When I got out, I checked my phone. There was another missed call from my number and a voicemail. Probably just a message from the scammer, I thought. "Are you satisfied with your internet? Do you need a new dishwasher?" And I dialed the voicemail and listened closely. Then, the next 25 seconds were static. A low hum, and I could hear some sort of clicking in the background, a faint, barely audible. At 25 seconds in, I heard a distinct rustling sound, then the static started to fade. It didn't disappear, but it faded slowly into a soft hum. At 27 seconds, intermittent blips of a voice cut with static. I couldn't make out any words, but it sounded female, and the tone sounded relatively normal. I don't think she was screaming or crying, but I'm not sure. Then, at 35 seconds,
"Stop!"
This word was clear. It was shouted loudly and firmly over the static. I couldn't tell if it was angry or afraid. With such a short clip, it was hard to tell, but I did know one thing. Without a doubt, it was my voice. The voicemail ended there. I dropped the phone and just lay there on my bed, trying to make sense of it all. Probably just a weird glitch, I thought, draping an arm over my face. And was it even really my voice? I mean, hundreds of men must sound like me, right? The phone flashed. A text. I grabbed it. The phone slipped in my sweaty fingers as I tapped away, brought it up. The text was from my number. It was only 4 words, all in caps. "Don't open the door." Well, that's ridiculous, I thought. What does that even mean? Of course I have to open the door sometime. Tomorrow was work day, and the air conditioning kicked on. A low hum filled the room. High heel footsteps out in the hall. And then, a sharp knock at my door. Has anyone else tried befriending a bot? David and I were best friends pretty much our entire lives. What made our friendship even stronger was the fact that we didn't have any other friends. Sadly, we fell apart when we ended up going to different colleges. We would contact each other occasionally, but after a couple of years, we stopped talking altogether, until 2 months ago. It was a bit awkward at first, but after a couple of minutes, we were talking like we once did. He was working as an app developer while I was working in a retail store. He dropped out of college 2 years in when he realized he wouldn't learn anything new from college. I graduated with a degree in English in hopes of being an English teacher, but couldn't find a school that would take me. So I was just a retail worker making a little over $9 an hour. After I told him about my shitty job, I could hear the excitement grow in his voice. This may not be exactly how the conversation went, but I'll try my best.
"Okay, so you wouldn't mind quitting if you were given a better opportunity?"
Definitely. I hate my job, man. I barely make enough to pay my bills, even though I work 55 hours a week.
I'm actually quitting my job because I had an idea for a new app, and I know it will make a crazy amount of money. I would just need you to constantly talk to a bot I have created.
Well, that sounds cool, man, but are you sure I can help you by just talking to a bot?
You already have. Well, let me explain. Where do you live?
I moved back into my parents' house. And we moved to Tennessee.
Cool. I'll be there tomorrow at 10. Talk to you then.
He hung up before I could say anything else. I was confused. It sounded like David, but the way he spoke to me sounded like a completely different person. All of my questions were answered as soon as I opened the door and saw David standing in front of me. Before I could greet him, he opened his mouth, and I had to stop myself from gagging. His teeth were missing. Almost his entire tongue looked to be torn off, besides the 1-inch sliver of blackened flesh, and bright pink bumps filled up almost every inch of the inside of his mouth. I took a step back, and he gave me a sad grin before pulling out his phone and started to tap on it. A couple of seconds later, he let out a half sigh, half gurgle, and faced the screen towards me. In his voice, the phone spoke to me.
Hey, man, I see you noticed my fucked up mouth. I'll tell you about it at a better time. I will say it was one of the reasons why I never did finish college. Also, I said I found a job. They didn't really care I didn't talk. They just needed someone to do the job, which I did exceptionally well. Hell, I even made this bot. It doesn't talk like me just yet, but it will, which is why I'm asking you to talk to the bot. You have known me my entire life. You know the things I would say and the things I wouldn't. Coach it. Teach it. Plus, once the bot is perfect, I can put it on the market as a realistic bot app.
David looked at me with his eyebrows raised the entire time. It took a couple of minutes to think about what he just offered me before saying, I can do it, but I don't know if you can pay me enough for me to quit my job, so I'll talk to it for around an hour before I go to bed. David shook his head, and immediately the bot replied for him.
I can pay you $5,000 to talk to it for 2 days. That's all I need. 8 hours minimum each day. Plus, I'll give you 50% of what we make.
He looked up at me with a smile on his face. He already knew I was in. David handed me the phone, gave me a pat on my shoulder, and left. I guess he knew there really wasn't anything else we could do. The next 2 days, I talked to the bot just like I would talk to David. Whenever it used words he wouldn't normally use, I would correct it. It was odd. It knew everything David and I did. Every single memory David had, the bot had as well. The last conversation was the oddest one, which is why I'm recording this. I'm concerned, and I'm hoping someone will be able to help me with any suggestions.
You know what's been bugging me? I busted my ass off for so long, and because of these bumps, my life has started to fall apart.
I know. That must suck, man. I can't believe they would just show up out of nowhere.
They didn't. They came because I'm a sick man. I know we knew each other for a long time, but you didn't know everything about me.
Can you tell me? You know you can trust me.
I can now. I'm physically dead by now. My intentions were to kill myself a day after I saw you. Don't worry, I already deposited $10,000 into your account. I decided to add a little more since I'm sure you've guessed by now this will not be making any money. No, this is my final gift to you. The truth as well as a friend that isn't fucked up in the head. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
After we grew apart, I started to go crazy little by little. I'm a sick person, man. I didn't want to drag you into the depths of hell with me. The times I was caught staring at other kids at our school, thinking about how their flesh would taste, filling my empty stomach. The kids thought I was just weird, but I'm glad you didn't. You were the only one to keep me from becoming the person I turned into after we drifted apart. I wanted to contact you every day, but I didn't want to keep dragging you down. I'm sure you were making friends left and right. I didn't want to become a burden on you. I tried to find other friends, but no matter who I met, they would end up stop talking to me within a couple of days. My parents stopped talking to me. Everyone did. I didn't have someone else. I started having those thoughts more and more. I did the only rational thing in my mind, and that was creating another you. I used bodies of people just as fucked up as me. I started with the frat guys that were involved with several sexual assaults. After that, I geared towards the lonely men. I lured them into my house while acting like I was a 14-year-old boy.
Shit. What happened to them?
Usable body parts were used to create a replicate of you. I burned the majority of the bodies, and after a while I started to feel an uncontrollable hunger. The hunger dwelled within me when we were young, but it was easy to avoid the craving. Like I said, they were just intrusive thoughts. Thoughts I could overcome, but seeing all the dead bodies burning away, the sweet smell of their burning flesh filling my nose, I couldn't handle it anymore. It started with trying a finger here and there. Then I started eating more and more. I wouldn't have stopped, but the bumps started to appear. And before I even finished my project, I decided to ditch it. I was already doing fucked up shit, but with everything put together, I don't belong here. Which brings us to the present. I know you're probably disgusted with me right now, but please hear me out. I only made this bot so I can somehow live on without being the fucked up person I am. This is a fresh start for me to somehow be a better person.